Listen, so much of success and so much of the things that is going to lead you towards your destiny, that's going to get you to your goal, is about you being at the right place at the right time. It's about you holding on to the position that you have. It's about you putting yourself in position so that you can actually succeed and that you actually win in life.
Wait for it. You hear me? Listen, wait for it. It's one of the most difficult things that we have to do. There's so many of us. We want some breakthroughs to show up in our lives. We're waiting for that relationship to take place. Some of you say, you don't know, Andy, you telling me to wait for it. I've been waiting for a minute for that special someone. I've been waiting to find that perfect relationship. I've been waiting for a husband. I've been waiting for a wife. What do you mean wait on it? Do you know how long I've been waiting? Some of you are saying, what do you mean, Andy, wait for it? I've been waiting for that promotion. I've been waiting for that special opportunity at my career, at my job, and it's just not showing up. They keep passing me up on the promotion. They keep passing me up on the opportunity. And you're sitting here trying to tell me to wait for it. Listen, wait for it. Some of you are saying, wait a second, Andy, you don't understand. You don't understand. I've been out here working, trying to grow my business. I've been trying to have a breakthrough. I've been trying to pass the 6-figure mark. I've been trying to get to the multiple 6-figure mark. I've been trying to get to the 7-figure mark. And you trying to tell me to wait for it? You don't know. I've been working this business for the past 10 years. Listen carefully. Wait for it. And so you say, well, why do I say that? Listen, I stumbled across a quote by Lady of Mandy Hale, and I love this quote. And here's what she said. She said, if you're still waiting for it, listen carefully. Here's what she said. She said, if you're still waiting for it, what it means is that you're not ready for it. Now, whatever it may be for you, that it might be a relationship, that it might be the promotion, that it might be the breakthrough, that it for you, whatever it is, if you're still waiting for it, then there's a possibility that you're not ready for it. And so stop looking at waiting as punishment, but rather look at waiting as preparation time, as preparation season. I'm telling you, my big question for you as we have this conversation is, why is it that we have such difficulty waiting? We live in a microwave type society. People do not want to wait. We don't want to wait on the finances to come through. We don't want to wait for the breakthrough. We don't want to wait for the opportunity. We don't want to wait for the promotion. We don't want to wait for our time to come. We want everything to happen right now in this moment, and it just doesn't work that way. And there's a lot of people who are so anxious and are really pursuing something and are convinced that they're ready for it. And the reality of it, if it were to show up right now, if that husband were to show up right now, if that wife were to show up right now, if that major promotion were to show up right now, if that windfall of money were to show up right now, if their business were to explode right now, guess what? They probably wouldn't even be ready for it. And so listen carefully. If you're still waiting for it, now, whatever it may be, if you're still waiting for it, listen carefully, you're probably not ready for it. And you say, well, wait a second, Andy, what do you mean I'm not ready for it? I've been putting in the time. I've been putting in the work. I've been making some things. Listen, there's a possibility that you still have some things that you need to do. There's a possibility that you need to still do some development. There's a possibility that you still need to continue to work on yourself. There's a possibility that you need to expand some of your skills. There's a possibility that you got to put the right support and the right infrastructure in place so that whatever it is that you're waiting for, so that when it actually comes, you'll be able to take full advantage of it. And so that really makes me wait. And before that makes me think about right now a particular story that I stumbled across. And I remember sitting down one day. I don't know about you guys, I'm gonna say right here, every once in a while, I'll tune in and I watch on the OWN network. I watch Super Soul Sundays, and I am in fact a big Oprah Winfrey fan, and I love how what she's done in the industry and the people that she's brought forth and all the great things. And so I remember the big major sit down between Oprah Winfrey and Iyanla Vanzant. And so some of you may remember that sit down. Some of you may have no idea what I'm talking about, but that's okay, because I'm going to break it down for you and make you understand. So most of you at this point, you've heard of the name Iyanla Vanzant. She has a blockbuster show right now on the OWN network that is known as Ivanya. I always say her name improperly. Excuse me for that. But it says Iyanla Save My Life, right? Or Fix My Life is the name of the show. And so she finds people who have relationships. The relationships are in a bunch of strain. All kind of dysfunctional families, dysfunctional marriages. And she comes in and she, with her hard-nosed type of advice, expert advice that she does, and a lot of times she's able to reconcile families and reconcile relationships and make some great things happen. But here's what a lot of people don't know. There's a backstory. Oprah and Iyanla actually came to be able to actually work with each other. And I want to share that with you because there's a powerful lesson for all of us to know. So if you remember back in the 90s, right, the Oprah Winfrey Show was probably the biggest, the baddest talk show out. I mean, people would rush home. Everybody wanted to watch the Oprah Winfrey Show. And there was a moment that the show went from being a show that was about drama and things going on, that it became a show that a lot of times people were showing up there because she was bringing on experts and people who could really be able to help people to change their lives. And what most people don't know is when you think about some of the big names like Susie Orman, big names like Dr. Phil, big names like Dr. Oz, all of them got their start really by being contributors on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Where back in the 90s, listen carefully, back in the 90s, there was a lady who was a phenomenal relationship expert that was coming on Oprah Winfrey Show as a regular. And that lady, her name is Iyanla Vanzant. And so she was a regular on the Oprah Winfrey Show. She would come on there. She would give relationship advice. She'd get the people fired up. She'd go ahead and share some things. And literally, people fell in love with her while she was on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And because of that, Oprah just continued to invite her back to the show and back to the show and back to the show. And because of her popularity growing while she was on the show, she was able to get a book deal, and her book deal was for over $1 million. And her coaching business at that time and all of the things she had going on was bringing in over $3 million. And so her popularity went through the roof because she kept showing up and kept being a contributor on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Now, but listen where the story starts to take a turn. And so what happened is, all of a sudden now, Iyanla Vanzant, she's on a repeated guest, always showing up, always being part of the Oprah Winfrey Show. And so what ends up happening is, she ends up getting an offer to do a show herself by another network, right? And so we're not talking about doing a show with Oprah Winfrey. Even though Oprah Winfrey had all intentions of giving her show, she got an offer to do a show. And so when she got that offer, she went to Oprah Winfrey and Harpo Studios and said, listen, I would love to get my own show. I want to have my own show. And so Oprah said, listen, and Harpo Studios said, listen, we want you to have your own show, but we don't think that you're ready for your own show yet. We think that you should wait. Just wait a little bit. Oprah's going to continue to develop you. You got all kind of popularity right now. Just wait. We have something that we intend on doing with you. We intend on giving you your own show, but you just need to wait. We got to develop you. We got to continue to help you out. You being a guest on the show and you having your own show are two different things. And so they told Iyanla, they said, just wait. But guess what? She didn't want to wait. Nah, she didn't want to wait. And so there was an opportunity for her to go ahead and have her own show. And so what happened is she got offered by another mogul in the industry an opportunity to have her own show. So she decided to step out and exit away from being a guest on Oprah Winfrey Show. And that happened by default because she decided to go ahead and get her own show. Well, guess what happened? She went and tried to get her own show. The show didn't even last for more than one season, and the show went off the air, and her relationship with Oprah Winfrey became severed. Her popularity went down, and she went from having all of this success to now all of a sudden she lost all of the success that she had, and she found herself struggling again. And so it would be years later, years later, that her and Oprah Winfrey would have a sit-down talk about what happened at that moment. And there was a lot of dialogue and a lot of exchange that took place. But when I was watching that sit down and that conversation, what it showed me and what it taught me is a lot of times we want something so bad. We want to have the relationship. We want to get out of debt. We want to have the breakthrough. We want to make the 6 figures. We want to make the 7 figures. We want to live out our purpose. We want to do some great things. But what happens is a lot of times we don't want to wait. And we don't understand that a lot of times when you're waiting, you're actually preparing for the opportunity that you have not yet had. I'm going to say that one more time. A lot of times when you're waiting, you are actually hopefully working while you wait. Matter of fact, let me make sure you understand that. I'm not talking about just waiting and doing nothing. I'm talking about if you're willing to work while you wait, listen carefully. If you'll work while you wait, meaning that you continue to work on your gifts, your skills, your crafts, you continue to develop your skill set, you expand your mindset, you find ways to start developing community, forming relationships and doing the things necessary. But if you can learn to work while you wait, oftentimes your waiting period is actually a preparation period. So you want to use your waiting time as preparation for the opportunity that you're seeking. And so what it means, ladies, for those of you who are saying out there, I am just waiting for my man, I am waiting for a husband. What it means is that during this time that you are waiting, then maybe perhaps you need to work on yourself and do some inner work and get rid of some of that old luggage, that old baggage that you've had that has caused you to continue to go from one negative relationship to another negative relationship. Listen, my wife is a relationship coach. She's a certified matchmaker. And so many of the people that she works with, they go from one toxic relationship to another, or they continue to date the same kind of guy. And oftentimes it's the same kind of guy, and all he did was really change names. And what's happening is, it's not really has anything to do with the guys, but it has everything to do with themselves because they weren't willing to put in the work. And so what I'm trying to make you understand is sometimes you got to be willing to work while you wait. Listen carefully. You got to be willing to work while you wait. Waiting is literally the time that you need to be preparing for your opportunity. And so don't look at waiting as punishment, but rather, as Mandy Hale said, look at waiting as an opportunity for you to prepare. And so here's what I know, that many of you, you are about to experience a breakthrough. The perfect opportunity is going to come your way, but you have to be willing to wait just a tad bit longer. But during the time that you're waiting, you need to continue to put in the work. You need to continue to work on your craft. You need to continue to develop your skills. You need to continue to work on the connections and the things that you're putting forward. You need to build out your infrastructure. So when the opportunity finally comes, you'll be able to take full advantage of it. And sometimes all we got to learn to do is just simply wait. I firmly believe that there's a lot of us that unfortunately the reason why we do not accomplish the things that we want to accomplish in our lives is because we don't have the patience and we don't have the willingness to simply wait. And if you can just start exercising the discipline of waiting, but yet working while you wait, listen carefully, working while you wait. And so that means that you are preparing for the opportunity that you have not yet had. Listen, it's been said by Whitney Young. Here's what he said. He said, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have it than to have an opportunity and not be prepared for it. And so one of the things that we have to simply learn to do is simply wait for it. So do me a favor, hashtag wait for it. Hashtag wait for it. I see you, Roz. I see you, Zoe. I see you, Anita. I see you, Myra. Hashtag wait for it. Because people have to understand the wait. I'm telling you, I can't imagine. I'm telling you, I've done it myself, right? Where I thought I was ready for something. I was anxious and I wanted to make it happen right away, only to realize through the process of waiting and continuing to put some other things in place, only to realize that the thing that I thought I was ready for, I really wasn't ready for it. And had it came when I wanted it, I would have messed the opportunity up because it would have been premature. I would not have been prepared for it. I would not have been able to take full advantage of it. And so I need you to understand very firmly, I need you to understand this, is that you got to be willing to wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, hashtag wait for it. Do me a favor right now, hit the share button, because I know that there's somebody who can get something from this message that is going to be able to create a shift and a change in their life. Somebody is sitting on the sidelines, they're sick and tired of waiting, and they're thinking about throwing in the towel. They're sick and tired of waiting for that right relationship to show up. They're tired of waiting for the right opportunity to show up. They're tired of waiting for the promotion. They're tired of waiting for their gift to finally be acknowledged by people around them. And what I need them to understand is sometimes you just got to continue to wait just a tad bit longer. And during that time that you wait, understand that you want to use your waiting time as preparation time. Why? Because I told you, you got to prepare for the opportunity that you have not yet had. And so I'm telling you over and over again, people just forget about the importance of waiting. You'll be surprised of what can happen in your life over a 1 month period, over a 6 month period, over a 1 year period, because you're waiting, but you're working, you're preparing, you're developing your craft. I'll never forget this. When my wife was pregnant last year, when we got towards the tail end of her pregnancy, when she was maybe about 7 months pregnant or so, she was looking like, she was ready to give labor and so forth. And we would be out and about. And sometimes people just, nonchalant, they didn't understand what they were saying. And so joking around, they'd be like, whoa, you look like you're ready to have the baby right now. You're ready to have the baby right away. And me and my wife would be like, no, you don't understand. We got another 2 months. Now, they probably didn't understand why we reacted like that, why we took it so serious. I mean, obviously, they're just trying to say that my wife looks like she's at full term. But the reason why we reacted like that is because we understood that the final weeks of a pregnancy, there's so much additional development that's happening. The baby's brain is growing at lightning speed. The baby's lungs are still fully developing. There are so many things that are happening that are so critical and so important during that waiting period of the last couple of weeks of the pregnancy, that there's so many things that are taking place. And so here's what I want you to understand, that when a baby is born prematurely, that there's so many risks and so many hazards, and there's a greater likelihood of a fatality, of disease, of basically being behind developmentally. And here's what I need you to understand. When you get your dream prematurely, when you get that promotion prematurely, when you get those finances prematurely, in other words, when you get it before you're ready for it, then guess what happens? It's not sustainable. You're not able to hold on to it. You're not able to make it grow. You're not able to nurture it. And you're not able to leverage it to additional opportunities. And so what you need to understand is, listen carefully, if you're still waiting for it, it means that maybe possibly you're not yet ready for it. Now, whatever it may be, that's what Mandy Hale said, whatever it may be. So it may be a husband, it may be a wife, it may be some financial breakthrough. It may in fact be that you are waiting on a promotion. It can be so many things, but what if whatever it is that you've been waiting for, that you think that you want right now in your life, what if you're not yet ready for it? What if you got to put in a little more work? What if you got to stretch yourself? What if you got to continue to develop your skill set? What if you have to build out the infrastructure so that whatever it is that you're looking to get, so that it can actually be sustainable? And so I want you to understand that there is great value in you taking the time to actually just wait. Oh, I know waiting is hard. I know that you don't want to do it. Nobody likes to wait. Half the time you warm something up in the microwave, you put it in, and you can't even wait the 1 minute, 2 minutes for it to warm up in the microwave. You're already opening up the microwave door because you don't even want to wait a minute. And so we live in a microwave type society. We don't want to wait. But let me help you understand, there's some things that are worth waiting for, like your dreams, your goals, those things that are most important for you. Those things are worth waiting for. Like having your breakthrough is worth waiting for. Being able to live out your purpose in your calling is worth waiting for. Being able to have that ideal dream job that you've been trying to make happen is worth waiting for. Getting into a healthy, happy relationship is worth waiting for. There are so many things in life that are worth waiting for. And so all you have to be willing to do is to build the discipline, to build up the muscle so that you have the ability to wait when others are being anxious, when others are rushing towards the finish line. If you can wait, but wait on it, if you can work while you wait, don't forget that part. I'm not talking about waiting and throwing your feet up and doing absolutely nothing. No. I'm talking about if you can learn how to work while you wait. In other words, that means during your season of working, for those of you who said, you know what, people don't understand this. I tell them all the time. When I made the decision that I wanted to become a speaker and I wanted to develop my voice, I knew that I had to wait before my time and my opportunities would come. But I also knew that while I was waiting, that I should be working. And so I was constantly pacing back and forth in my living room and practicing delivering talks and delivering speeches. I would go in my backyard and I would act like the trees in my backyard were the audience, and I would talk to the trees and develop speeches and say things to the trees. I remember one particular time doing that. One of my neighbors came out in their backyard. She looked over at me. She thought I was crazy. She said, what is he doing back there? But see, what I was doing is I was working while I was waiting. I would record my messages into a tape recorder, and then I would send the message to my friends after the fact, and I would ask them to listen to the message and give me some input and give me some feedback. And all I was doing all during those moments is I was waiting for my opportunity, but I was working while I was waiting. And so what I need you to understand is this, that your opportunity is going to come. Your breakthrough is going to show up. The opportunity of a lifetime is going to show up. You will be able to grow the business. You will get the promotion. Mr. Right or Mrs. Right is going to show up in your life. But the only question is when those opportunities show up, when that man shows up, when that woman shows up, when that promotion shows up, when those things show up, will you be ready? Would you have put in the work during that waiting season? Would you have put in the time during the waiting season? That's the real question. And so you need to understand that waiting at all times literally helps you to build the discipline. It helps you to build the muscle. I'll never forget this. I have a rental property, and the driveway for the rental property, because of the South Florida heat, the heat was beating down on the driveway so much. It was a blacktop driveway. I'm sure you're probably familiar with blacktop driveways where they pour, it's like some tar that they put on top and so forth. And so with the South Florida heat and the sun hitting on it so much, eventually those blacktop driveways, they begin to fade. And so what you have to do is you have to get them recoated and resealed. And so I'll never forget this. I made a call and I called out a company and I said, hey, listen, you know what? My driveway, it needs to be sealed. I need it to be re-tarred, re-blacktopped, or whatever you want to call it. And I called the company out, and the guy came out to give me an estimate, and I could tell this guy was hungry for business. And he looked at me, he said, man, I could do this job right now. And so I remember that particular day. It was a cloudy day. I looked up, I said, man, it's pretty cloudy outside. I know normally when you do these jobs, man, aren't you supposed to wait 24 hours, make sure it's not raining? He said, yeah, there's some crowds up there, man. But he said, I could do this job right now. I said, listen, I don't think that we should do this job right now. I think we should wait, because if we do it right now, there's a possibility you're going to have to do this all over again. He said, listen, don't worry. If it rains, if something happens, I'll come back and do it. I said, can I get that in writing? He said, absolutely. And so he pulled out his contract. It said if anything happened, he wrote something in that he'd come back and do it. I said, man, you sure you don't want to wait? Literally, I'm looking at the forecast, not tomorrow, but the day after you can come back and do this. He insisted. He said, no, I don't want to wait. I can do this right now. Don't worry, everything's going to be okay. Well, lo and behold, what do you think happened? I watched this man with my own two eyes spend a good hour and a half redoing the entire driveway, sealing it. I exchanged the money. I paid the man. And I promise you, it was about an hour later, it started coming down, thunderstorming and raining. And I looked at all the stuff that he put on the driveway with the rain beating down on it. I saw everything that he applied on the driveway just begin to dissolve and come up. And all it looked like is a little mud puddle out there because all the work that he did basically got washed away. And of course, I called him on the phone and said, listen, man, I told you to wait, but you didn't want to wait. And 2-3 days later, he had to come back out and do it all over again. And you say, why? Why would you want to go through that work all over again? Why would you want to just do all that all over again? Well, I'll tell you why. Because he didn't have the patience to just wait. And there are so many of us right now, we're in the process of doing something, but it's not finished yet. And you're trying to go ahead and push it out there. And you want people to go ahead and bring you in to speak. You want to get those new coaching clients. You want to get the new business. You want to make some great things happen, but you're not really ready for it. You still need to wait. You need to work while you wait. You need to put in some more time so that when the opportunity presents itself, you can take full advantage of it. And so I need you to understand is sometimes you just need to wait. You say, well, Andy, why do I need to wait? I want to remind you what Mandy Hale said. I'm going to repeat it again. She says, if you're waiting on it, then that means that maybe possibly you're not ready for it. Now, I don't know what it is for you. It may be a husband, a wife, a financial breakthrough, an opportunity, a promotion. It can mean a lot of things. But what if this thing that you believe that you want so bad, what if you're not really ready for it? What if you still need to put in some work? What if you still need to continue to work while you wait? Listen, you need to work while you wait so that when the opportunity shows up, you can take advantage of it. And I told you once, and I'll tell you again, you got to prepare and train for the opportunity that you have not yet had. And listen carefully, you got to use your waiting time as preparation time. You got to use your waiting time as preparation time. And so here's what I say to you. What if right now, while you were waiting, that you decided to put in the work? What if you worked on yourself while you're waiting on that relationship? What if you worked on yourself and worked in your business and worked on your business as you waited for that amazing opportunity, as you waited for your new customers and your new clients? What if you worked on yourself as you waited for the promotion? What if you continued to develop your mindset? What if you continued to get some coaching? What if you continued to hone in on your craft? What if you continued to deal with some of your past failures and disappointments? What if you deal with some of that stuff that you still haven't dealt with back in your childhood, so that when the relationship does show up, so that when the opportunity does show up, you can take full advantage of it? What if you learned how to work while you wait? What would happen then? How would the opportunity change? What kind of breakthrough would you experience? And so I just want to remind you that sometimes you got to learn to just wait for it. If you're still waiting for it, listen, if you're still waiting for it, it means that there's a possibility that you're not ready for it. And so what you got to learn to start doing, is to work while you wait. Listen carefully. You got to work while you wait. And I believe if you're willing to put in the work during the time that you're waiting, if you continue to work on your mind, continue to work on your skills, continue to build the right team, to build the foundation, when the opportunity finally does show up, and trust me, it's going to show up. When your time finally does come up, because your time will come, when the breakthrough opportunity finally does appear, and it will appear, then you'll be able to take full advantage. Then you'll be able to make some extraordinary things happen. And so remember, listen carefully, if you're still waiting for it, it just might mean that you're not ready for it. And so what you got to do is continue to put in the effort, continue to put in the work, and to work while you wait. Work while you wait.
Stay in position. Stay in position. And here's what I believe. Many of us, unfortunately, we miss out on a blessing. We miss out on a tremendous opportunity. We miss out on something that has our name written all over it. Why? Because of the fact that we get tired of waiting. And guess what we do? We put ourselves out of position. In other words, we get out of position for the blessing. We get out of position for the opportunity. We get out of position for making the right contact. And the reason why this message came to me and what I was thinking about, I happen to live down here in South Florida. And one of the things that we have to deal with periodically in South Florida is something called hurricane season. And so there's a particular time in the year in which we are most susceptible to actually being hit by a hurricane. In this past year, we did get a hurricane scare. Thank God nothing major happened. There was nothing catastrophic that took place. Homes were okay. But whenever there is a hurricane warning down here in South Florida, you still have to get ready. And so what that means is that now you have to go ahead and head out to the grocery store. You got to load up on water. You got to make sure you got batteries. Got to make sure you got a flashlight. Got to make sure you got some canned food. If you do, you got to make sure you got a generator if possible. And there are so many things that we have to load up on. And it's one of those things that you can't take lightly because we just never know when we get a hurricane warning what's going to happen. And so I just thought about this past year, we got a hurricane warning. And I remember immediately thinking to myself, you know what? I got to make sure that my household is okay, where me and my wife and my beautiful daughter are. And then I also got to make sure that my mother's okay and make sure that everything's okay at her household. So one of the first things, of course, like always, we got to make sure we get out there, go purchase some batteries and get out there and go get some actual water. And so I remember jumping into my truck and literally driving to quite a few different locations. And everywhere that I went, unfortunately, they were completely out of water. So the grocery stores down here, one of the chains happened to be Publix. And so I drove to one of our supermarkets down here, got there completely out of water. I went to another supermarket chain down here called Winn-Dixie, went over there. They were completely out of water. Listen, I went to Walmart. I know it doesn't matter where you are right now. You probably have heard of Walmart. I went to Walmart and they were out of water. And so finally, I made my way over to a local sort of corner store, drugstore. And when I got there, there was this massive line of people who were just waiting to see if there was actually water there. And so they were out of water. But the manager said this. Here's what the manager said. He says, I can assure you, I just got off the phone with our distributor. I just got off the phone with the truck driver. And we have several pallets of water that is actually coming. And so naturally, I wanted to get some water for my mom's household. I wanted to get some water for me and my wife's household. And so listen, you better believe I got in line in order to hold my position. And so here's what happened. The manager told us that we should expect the water to get there in about 15 to 20 minutes. And unfortunately, 15 to 20 minutes went by and the water still wasn't there. And so needless to say, people were starting to get a little agitated, a little restless, but it's a necessity so people continue to stay in line. Well, listen to this. About 35 minutes to 45 minutes go by and there's still no truck pulling up and there's still no water. And let me tell you this, people are really getting agitated. People are starting to complain. They're telling the manager, hey, what's going on? You told us there's going to be water. And I'm telling you, you'll be surprised how people begin to act up in the middle of a natural disaster or if they really, 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 truly need something. And now I'm starting to look at my watch and I've been standing in line now for a good 55 minutes. And every part of me wants to get out of line. But I realized that I just cannot go home and not show up with any water. And so I'm realizing I've already driven to so many locations and didn't have any water. I say, you know what? I'm just going to sit tight and hold my position. Well, guess what? An hour goes by. And now as soon as we hit an hour mark, you just look, and literally I was probably the 20th person in line. And at that 1 hour mark, I'm telling you, at least 15 people who were ahead of me got out of line. They got frustrated. They were upset. They were angry. They couldn't believe they waited all that time. And so all of them got out of line. In other words, they gave up their position. And what do you think happened? I promise you that literally about 5 to 6 minutes after all 15 of those people got out of position, they got out of the line. What do you think happened? A big old 18-wheel truck pulls up right there in the front of the store, and we already got an opportunity to go ahead and pay for it. And all we did was walk out of the store, show our receipt, pick up our pallets of water, load them in our vehicles, and get out of there. And I couldn't help but think about all these people who had literally been standing in line for literally an hour, and all they needed to do was continue to hold their position. All they had to do was stay in position for just 5 more minutes, and it was all going to pay off. If they would have stayed in position for just 5 more minutes, they would have got exactly what they showed up for. And here's what I come to realize. Many of us are literally in a position where we are possibly about to get our blessing. Many of us are in a position where we're about to experience a tremendous opportunity. Many of us are in position where something amazing is about to happen for us. But what happens is we begin to get a little bit tired of waiting. We begin to get frustrated. And so what we're realizing is sometimes we start looking around and we're like, you know what? I'm not getting the results that I want. That, you know what? I'm not picking up enough clients like I thought I would. That I'm not generating as much income as I thought I was going to be generating at this time. I don't have the right amount of contacts that I thought that I would have at this time. And so as you look at the circumstances and as you look at your situation, you begin to judge it and you begin to become emotionally invested in it. And next thing you know, you start talking yourself out of holding your position. And so now you stop making the phone calls. Now you stop showing up to the networking events. Now you stop paying for the coaching and the mentoring. Now you stop working on your dream and your goal. Now you stop developing your skill set to make the thing happen because you decide that, you know what, I'm tired, I'm frustrated, I'm not getting the results that I want. And so I'm sick and tired of being waiting here. And so I'm gonna give up my position. And I'm telling you right now that most of the time, we get out of position right before the blessing's about to come, right before we're about to experience the breakthrough, and right before something tremendous is about to happen in our life. And so I just want to encourage you right now, this moment, if you've got something that you've been working on, that you've been trying to make happen, and unfortunately it's not happening at the pace that you thought it was going to happen, and there's a part of you that wants to throw in the towel. There's a part of you that's getting frustrated, like many of those people who are standing in line with me. I just want to remind you, you just need to continue to hold your position. Listen to me on this. Eventually, your opportunity is going to come. Eventually, the breakthrough is going to come your way, but you will miss out on your blessing. You will miss out on your opportunity if you get out of position. Listen, so much of success and so much of the things that is going to lead you towards your destiny, that's going to get you to your goal, is about you being at the right place at the right time. It's about you holding on to the position that you have. It's about you putting yourself in position so that you can actually succeed and that you actually win in life. And so here's what I'm a firm believer of. Most of the time, the people that they win in life is not necessarily the people who are most talented. It's not necessarily the people that have the most amount of resources. It's not necessarily the people that have the most amount of connections. It's not necessarily the people who are the most intelligent. But often the ones who win in life are the ones who put themselves in position to win. And so much of success is about positioning yourself and putting yourself in a position to actually win, to actually accomplish the thing that you want. Is that right now there's a blessing with your name written on it. Right now there's an opportunity with your name written on it. There's somebody who's ready to do business with you. There is somebody who's ready to hire you. There's somebody who's ready to partner up with you. There is somebody who can open up a door that is going to be able to accelerate exactly what it is that you're doing right now in your business, in your career. There is somebody that you can connect with, that you're going to be able to collaborate with to extremely accelerate and increase what you have to do. But the only way that that's going to happen is you cannot get tired by waiting. You cannot get tired of waiting. In other words, you've got to stay in position. And let me tell you, it's not an easy thing to do, because sometimes you're going to get frustrated. Sometimes you're going to want to throw in the towel. Sometimes you're going to say to yourself, why bother? Why should I even bother continuing to push through? Why should I even bother making the phone calls? Why should I bother continue to put in these applications? Why should I bother continue to get this business off the ground? Why should I bother showing up and continuing to make things happen, because I'm not getting the results that I want? And what I'm saying to you is that if you stay in position, if you don't allow yourself to get fatigued from just waiting, trust and believe that your time will come. The opportunity is going to come your way. But let me tell you something. It takes discipline. I'm talking about serious discipline to stay in position. Let me tell you, a couple of years back, this is crazy. I don't know if you guys remember back in grade school, for any of you who ever played the game kickball. And so you remember that game kickball. Some of you may remember, may not remember. But kickball is sort of like baseball, but you use your leg, and there's a ball that gets rolled to you to kick out, right? And so one of my favorite sports back in elementary school was to actually play kickball. And so needless to say, a couple of years ago, as an adult, I was offered the opportunity, both myself and my wife. She wasn't my wife at the time, we were dating, but we were offered an opportunity to be part of an adult kickball team. And so you have no idea how excited I was and how seriously I took it being on this kickball team. We were having games on Saturdays. It was an awesome opportunity for adults to get out there, feel like kids again, and have a great time. And you better believe that there was some serious competition out there. And so when it came to the time when we were basically out and we were playing defense, one of the places that I would be out there playing is I would be playing out in the outfield. And so in other words, I was out there in the event that somebody really kicked the ball high in the air, so that I'd have an opportunity to catch the ball and actually put them out. And so there's a couple people who are playing out in the outfield. And let me tell you something that I observed in the game of kickball. What happened is, over time, there's always going to be one particular area in the field that seems to get a little more action than the rest of the areas in the field. So somebody might be on the far right-hand side of the field, and there's about 3 people who come to kick the ball, and all 3 of those individuals kick it to the right-hand side of the field. Well, listen what normally happens. The person who's covering the left side of the field, because of the fact that they're not seeing any action, because of the fact that they get tired of waiting, because of the fact that nobody's kicking the ball in their direction, they begin to get lazy. They get tired of waiting. And because of the fact that they get tired of waiting, over time, they get out of position. And so where they should stay further back in the outfield, they continue to move closer and closer and closer and closer. And the reason why they're doing that is because they're tired of waiting for someone to kick the ball to them, and they're feeling frustrated. And so they're saying, well, wait a second, I'm not getting any action. Nobody's kicking the ball my way. And so forget about this. And they get frustrated, and they begin to get closer and closer. And in getting closer, guess what they also do? They get out of position. And what always happens like clockwork, they get out of position. And the moment they get out of position, what do you think happens? Somebody goes up to the kicking mount, and the ball gets rolled to them, and then they kick the ball and they boot it in their direction. And because of the fact that they're out of position, the ball goes over their head and they miss out on the opportunity to make the play. And so here's what I've come to realize, that there are so many of us who end up missing out on our opportunity to make a major move, a major play in our own personal lives, because we get tired of waiting, we get frustrated, we begin to lose out on the discipline, because it takes discipline to stay in position. and we begin to drift and we get out of position. And so what happens is when you get out of position, guess what? The opportunity goes over your head. The contact goes over your head. The job goes over your head. The client goes over your head. And guess what happens? You completely miss out on the opportunity. Now, let me tell you something that's even worse, and something that happens in sports and something that even happens in life. You see, also in sports, when they're playing the game of football, the quarterback has the ball, and a lot of times the quarterback already knows where the wide receiver is supposed to go in the position that the wide receiver is supposed to be in to catch the ball. And so sometimes what will happen is the quarterback will get the ball, call the play, the wide receiver will run out and run the route, but the wide receiver does not get in the right position. And so what happens is the quarterback throws the ball, the wide receiver is not in position, but guess what happens? Somebody on the other team gets in position and they intercept the ball. And so here's what I want you to realize, that sometimes your blessing that's going to come your way, your opportunity is going to come your way, you miss out on it, and somebody else is able to catch your opportunity. Somebody else catches your blessing. Somebody else makes the play that you were supposed to make simply because you didn't have the discipline to stay in position. And so I'm telling you right now, this is something that happens to the very best of us. And I can tell you right now, I know what it's like sometimes to get frustrated. I know what it's like to wait for your time, to wait for your turn. I know that sometimes you're working on a goal, you're working on a dream, and you're just thinking that things are going to happen a little faster than they do. And unfortunately, they don't happen at the speed that you thought that they were going to happen at. And because of that, you just want to throw in the towel. Because of that, you just begin to get really, really frustrated. And when you get frustrated, guess what happens? You begin to cut corners. When you get frustrated, you stop doing the things that were necessary to get you to where you were in the first place. And so what happens is over time, you begin to drift. And when you drift, and when you get frustrated, and when you're no longer being patient about waiting, guess what happens? You put yourself out of position. And when you put yourself out of position, you miss out on the blessing. You miss out on the opportunity, even when it's got your name written all over it. And so here's what I want to challenge you to do right now. I want to challenge you to stay disciplined. I want to challenge you to remain focused. I want to challenge you to claim what's yours and to continue to stay in position. Because oftentimes, when you decide to throw in the towel, like that lady I told you about that was standing in line, when you decide to leave your position, when you decide that you're sick and tired of being waiting, oftentimes that is when you are closest to your breakthrough. That is when you are closest to your blessing. That is when you are closest to something extraordinary happening for you. And so my message for you today is for you to stay in position. And so I know you're frustrated. I know that you just want to give up. I know that you're saying to yourself, why should I even bother? I know that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. I get that. But what I'm trying to tell you is that if you could just stay in position, something special is about to happen. If you could stay in position, you're going to meet the right person. If you could stay in position, you're finally going to get that job phone call and you're going to get the opportunity. If you could stay in position, the business will take off. If you could stay in position, you're finally going to accomplish that thing that you want, but you have to stay in position. And so I hope that the next time that little voice pops up in your head and you start thinking about throwing in the towel and you start thinking about closing up shop, that you're going to remember this message. You're going to remember what I told you, and that you'll recall that, listen, stay in position. You're so much closer than what you think.